close your eyes and breathe deeply.
Oh, that's nice.
This is a beautiful oil. It's a de-stress oil.
What is it?
It's got in it wild cow, frankincense, pettigrain. Never heard of that before. That's the de-stress. Oh, it's really nice. Do any of you use aromatherapy oils for de-stressing? You can see where my Fitbit was, look. Nobody can deny I wear my Fitbit all the time.
I'm just going to pop us on 4G because I'm seeing some sort of interference. Hopefully that's better. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Is that, yeah. Oh God, it comes to something, doesn't it? That's on my hit list today.
Do stay with us because we're going to be talking. We have found, I find this story fascinating about President Trudeau.
Yeah, it passed by, isn't it?
Canada's Prime Minister singing Bohemian Rhapsody.
Naked with a thong.
No, he wasn't naked the night before the funeral, but we're going to talk about that a bit later.
Yeah. Should you, can you in any way have a sort of celebratory bash prior to something like
we want to talk about that because
we'll talk about that at the end.
It's kind of, it is amusing at the same time because he's in all kinds of shit. So
morning, Tiddles, like your name.
We thought it'd be nice to just talk about
yeah.
how you spent the day yesterday, how we spent the day yesterday. What are the defining moments? What's the image that you're going to carry with you, do you think, over the years? Like if you've got grandchildren, what will you say to them about yesterday?
I don't think there's any. I don't think I can home in on any one specific thing. I think the sense of history happening in front of your eyes doesn't happen that often. I mean, in a weird way, I think it was happening with COVID. You know, you felt that you were in a historical moment. But I thought, I don't know. I was trying to explain to Nadia today. I don't feel sort of national. I don't get this national pride thing because I was thinking nationalism. There's something a bit suspicious. And yet I did feel, pride. I felt pride about something. I felt a sense of, I don't know.
We were talking about this this morning.
I'm usually not lost for words, but I was.
Yeah, it was breathtaking. It was totally breathtaking. There's some people coming through with what their moments were, and the Pipers were one, and that was certainly one for Mark and I. And I didn't know that
you've just broken my point. The absolutely defining moment.
Broken a point?
No, you've broken my memory or whatever it is. My defining moment, I don't know if anyone else found this, was how poignant the idea of the departing piper was.
I didn't know that was meant to be with that.
And so the piece of music, in the instruction of the piece of music, is for I love this detail, absolutely captivates me.
I love this.
So he performs whatever that piece of music is, but part of the definition of the music is to walk away. So it fades.
So it walks away. He walks away.
She's going to somewhere new. I just thought that was the most beautiful thing.
That they had kept the service silenced until we heard the last bit of his bagpipe. I thought that was so beautiful.
Janine Amory, you were there, yeah.
There was so many beautiful moments. The pallbearers got me every time. And actually, there was somebody on the radio yesterday saying, imagine if one of those young men was your son. You'd be in bits, wouldn't you? Your grandson.
Oh, the pallbearers. We posted
imagine
a photo.
Imagine the grandparents of that. I mean, it was just so beautiful. I mean, everything was beautiful.
Well, here we go. Lots of people have got different moments here.
Yeah.
Look, someone said, lots of stuff coming through. Where have you gone? Someone just said, when they took the sceptre and the crown off the coffin, that was absolutely one of the moments, because you knew at that point her reign had stopped. Someone else said that they felt it was a funeral for the country. I kind of know what you mean.
I was moved by so many different things, and I had a lot of odd thoughts. And I was talking to Mark about this last night, because we went to Hyde Park, by the way, guys, because not everyone moves in alive yesterday. So we had we thought we'd got there early enough to get a spot. We didn't get a spot anywhere to see anything, but so we went to Hyde Park, and it was just the most people that has ever been in Hyde Park.
Yeah.
It was packed.
Well, there wasn't where we were, and then as we left,
moved away.
there were millions.
Yeah, and it was just, and we listened to every last moment of it, and we felt kind of emotional. I felt exhausted at points within the funeral. Did you? I just felt like this. It was a bit of a roller coaster. But I was just so touched by the care that was given to that body, the body in there. And it made me think, not in a not in a way that I resented anything about the Queen. I didn't. I loved all of it. I thought it was beautiful. It was breathtaking. I think as a country we needed to come together, and it was a moment where we did. I think I said to Mark, I had this strange feeling because I never feel safe in London. I never feel protected. I never feel there's police anywhere. And I've had this strange feeling yesterday of feeling safe, even though there was the underlying current of possible attack, just to see that we could do stuff so brilliantly at a point where we felt so much recently, haven't we? Almost like we've been a lawless country. There's been so much violence in London. There's been so many problems with the Metropolitan Police. And so it was weird. I had this comfort of like, God, when we do things properly, we really do them with such perfection. I'm not a nationalist in any way, but I felt a real sense of pride and being looked after almost. But I had this other strange thing when it made me feel really sad for all the people that have died, and all for the families that haven't been able to honour a body in the way that it was. But again, not in a resentful way to what was happening with the funeral, because I didn't, but it was just, So I had so many poignant thoughts going on in my head, aside from the event. And I think that's what, as a country, we've had, haven't we? The Archbishop referred to it, that people's grief for the people that they've lost. Recently, people have been able to grieve from, losses that people have through COVID or before. You've been grieving for your nan again, haven't you? I've been grieving for people that I've lost. I've been thinking about funerals that I've been at. So it's been like a kind of
shared catharsis.
Yeah, cathartic thing. But also, Mark and I love the theatre. We love the theatre. And we think that we should protect the theatre so much more than we do in this country, because it's a great asset to this country. And around the world, we are seen as,
so the theatricality
of it, actually, I really loved. I'm calling it Royal Theatre now. But my God, wasn't it done perfectly?
MeToo said that something was punctured when you realised that the Auburn sceptre and crown was sort of screwed onto the top of that.
It's been driving me mad all week, because I've been thinking that must be sewn on.
Yes, that's what I think.
Because it was shaking. Yeah. Oh, another
exquisite.
Beautiful...
Hang on, a nice way of describing it. Exquisite pageantry.
Yeah, exquisite is the right word. Yeah. And another moment. I don't know how many of you agree with this. I've become besotted with Princess Charlotte.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, she's so cute. And when she says to George, "You've got to bow now," and he goes, and he's listening to her, and then he goes like that, like he was always meaning to bow, and it's just so cute. Their little hat, it was just.
Melanie Williams, it caught me off guard how emotional I suddenly felt when the procession started walking the Queen's body towards. Well, it's that funny moment. I've noticed at almost every funeral I've been to, it's the moment you get first sight of the coffin.
Yeah.
Arriving at, and I'm thinking, Nanny Di, I'm sure you'll see this, when at Lizzie's, at Nan's, at Jim's, at Toby's, if I think of all the people who passed away, it has always been that moment that you have the shock of essentially reducing someone who obviously is so much more than just a person into something so cubic and box-like. It's a shock. It's a spiritual shock I don't think you ever really recover from. And I caught myself crying at that point in the park as soon as I saw it kind of coming out of where it had been in state and was being moved and arrived at Westminster Abbey. I was like, oh my God.
And that's when Sophie of Wessex, I never know how to say her, as the Queen went down, she broke down.
Was at
Did
the
you see her in
latter
the front?
part in Windsor.
I think she was very, very close to Philip, and I think that she... Because I said as they were all leaving, she didn't say, when you think about it, then you lost Prince Philip. Is it a year ago, 18 months? So they will be grieving, and of course they had a strange funeral for that. So like any other family, there will be, there will be other losses that have come into play.
So, there were moments in the ceremony, there were moments, obviously the music that was chosen, the Queen had selected music from different moments in her life. That sort of... the hymns, the tunes, they didn't have any resonance necessarily to me. But I did like the Archbishop's speech. I liked Justin Welby's speech.
Really liked it. Just Jim Flora wants to say it was so moving when the flowers were on the car.
Oh, yeah.
And what about all the tiny little poses? Did you see them on the grass all the way up to Windsor?
At Windsor.
I was transfixed fixed.
Yeah,
I hope we
quite
see some
astonishing.
beautiful photos because I was desperate to see that. They were all individually done, like tiny bouquets. Oh my God, it was so
You're right, Me
beautiful.
Too. Wasn't it odd Sandra Oh from Killing Eve was part of Justin Trudeau? We'll get to him in a minute. I wonder if she was at the piano bar. So Justin, I thought Justin Welby, I felt when he said this,
I thought it
those
was
who
really
cling
good.
to power and privileges are forgotten.
Mark was convinced he
I
was having a
nudged her
dig
and I went,
at.
that's a dig at
He went,
Boris.
that's a dig at Boris, but he can't because the whole thing about
Who
the
thought
Queen
it was a
was
dig at
that
Boris?
she never,
Done.
that she never,
I had to dig at anyone.
that we would never know what she was thinking politically. So I don't think he could have done it at the funeral.
I think it wasn't just a dig at Boris, but let's face
There was
it,
lots of
you
people in
never
there.
ever have all the leaders of the world
Yeah.
virtually in one spot.
I think it was.
And I'd have thought the vast majority of people who
Yeah.
have power are clinging onto it. The
Yeah.
vast majority, in some capacity. So I think it was, maybe it wasn't a targeted dig, but I think it was a nudge at people in power to rethink how power and positions of power can be conducted, or how you can conduct yourself when you have a position of power. And if you think about the Queen, I think the thing that perplexes me as a non-royalist is that, and this is where her star went, brightened for me, was during the pandemic, was that she showed a compassion and a sensitivity way beyond anyone in government at the time.
And it was the timing
it was a
of
surprise.
it because we weren't getting any.
It was a surprise for me.
Yeah, we didn't feel like we were getting compassion, did we?
No, and I think we underestimate the extent to which we weren't getting any warmth or hand-holding, and people would, okay, we all now are very sort of blasé, getting a vaccine, not getting a vaccine, oh, have you had it? Yeah, I've had it, go to school still, all this kind of stuff. I think we forget, at a very, very crucial moment, she stepped into the breach, quite literally.
Lucy Heaney, I felt for Harry, he seemed very alone. I felt really sorry for Harry, I have to say, because the moment that I felt most sorry for him, because he adored his granny, whatever's happened, whatever he said about the royal family. And when you think back to when him and William were getting on, they were always joking and joshing. There was such a love between them. And then there they were, and I was so moved by the uniforms and how immaculate all those uniforms are. I mean, the navy with all those hats. I mean, honestly, you would think I'm a crazy royalist thinking, I don't know. I mean, it's very odd how much I felt about this. It was like, it went in very deep. And he loved his job in the army so much, and, was devastated that he had to leave because of being in the royal family. And it must have felt so hard for him around all those really proud men and women in their uniforms. I always want to say costumes. And he wasn't. It was just... And then when he was at the vigil, I thought that must have been really hard because he grew up with Beatrice and Eugenie. This is a family off camera that have barbecues and picnics and all of that, and you're just not a part of it anymore. It must just be...
Sarah Sutton, Harry
So
had a
awful.
scowling expression. I don't know if he was scowling. I mean, I think he
I
was
thought
in
he was trying to control
I think he was in an invidious position. And I also, can I just give a shout out to Bridget Dushima Stone? I saw your comment earlier. I spent the day watching the funeral and went to Twitter and was exhausted by the negative comments by so-called British royal reporters and press towards Meghan. It ruined everything for me. Now, look, I think regardless of what you think of Meghan, I think she was in a position yesterday where if she'd cried, she'd have been hammered. If she hadn't cried, she'd have been hammered. She was in a literal no-win situation.
Well, I gave 3 minutes of my life the other day to check out Talk TV. I've never looked at it before. And my God, Piers Morgan is not well.
He's got a proper problem with her.
I mean, he's
It's
not
a proper problem.
well.
I mean,
he's just so angry. I think we have to take some of the anger and the heat. Listen.
Okay, look, MeTube calls it, I love this, I'm going to call it this from now on, the Daily Mail Catch-22.
Yeah.
Lose-lose.
I mean, yeah, you can't. Whatever you do,
Hi,
you
Emma
lose with
Carter.
those sons of bitches.
Haven't seen you for a
But
while.
I, as I've said before, I really, 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 really disagree with Meghan and Harry talking in public about their family, because I believe nobody should do that. I don't think anybody should slag off their family in public. But it's just need to stop now with this hate for anything. anything that she does, because it's just, I mean, look at all the photos of other royals that were holding hands, and yet everyone was up and up. Not everyone. We mustn't say everyone. Some people.
Cross about her.
People get so cross, and I think the thing is, you know, if she did have a plan that she wanted to go back to America, and that it was all a manipulation and all of that, well, you know what? They're not really part of our lives. And I think, like you say, it's exhausting when you just pops up that kind of hate. I just think it's unnecessary.
Claire McNabb, she's been mercilessly bullied. I mean, it just struck me. It was really, again, as I say, regardless of what you think about whether the book should be published, about whether they should have done the interview, and I think neither should really happen, or there should certainly be a delay on the book. When you put someone in a no-win, no-win scenario, it's really discomforting and unpalatable, because it means that whichever way you move, I mean, the point about this is classic trolling and bullying, isn't it? It's like you get bullied for one thing, you kind of suggest something else, or you do something else, and then you get bullied by omission for the other thing, and then by something else, and so they've got it covered always. That's why you have to just kind of ignore it.
And I do think there's a line between having a really strong opinion about the way that they've behaved, and I think that's fine, because they're doing it publicly and they're making money from it. So it's okay to say, I really don't like that, right? But I think this nitpicking at every movement and motion is not good for anyone that's doing that to them. It's not good for the people that are doing it. It's unhealthy, and it's toxic. And when you've got that much toxicity in you about somebody else that you're going, it's I think we just need to rise above it. And I think also it invalidates the genuine feelings and opinions about whether they should be selling stories on the royal family and all of that, because I do think that is a genuine, you know, thing to go, it's a bit unsavoury. But if everybody's picking on tiny little things, it just makes those people look like they're just vicious or bullying or racist or whatever, you know, whatever is being.
But let's just pause for a moment, because possibly, whilst the solitary piper, the lone piper, was a beautiful moment, can I tell you what my second beautiful moment was?
What?
Emma the horse.
Oh, he nearly went to pieces.
Well, Emma the horse. Apparently, she was riding only a week ago or something.
Well, she was having shooting parties and everything.
I know, she was.
What a way to live, as Welby said, an abundant life. She lived an abundant life.
The problem with that, though, is a lot of people go, yeah, she's
no, but
privileged.
I'm not talking about
no, I know you're
privilege.
not,
I'm
but I think people
talking
will see
about
that.
her love of nature, and her, everybody that meets her says she's the most curious of people, like my mum. Questions. And I think that's the way to have an abundant life, isn't it? To be interested in so many different people.
Oh, I didn't realise that detail, Sarah Fox, with the Queen's headscarf on her saddle.
Oh!
See, these little details. The moment I thought also that Prince Charles laid whatever the significance of that sort of piece of fabric was on the head of his mother's coffin, I thought that was a moment too. I thought that was really. And the corgis, absolutely, they were very sweet. But there was something about Emma just standing there as she came into the grounds of Windsor, and I was just like, oh my God! And the horse is called Emma too. It's just.
Richard Lollipop says, and she still had the same family crap as the rest of us. Exactly. All families do. You know, if you're having a moment, you think, oh my God, there's people in my family, everyone's got it. Somebody's just said there that Meghan was cleverly hidden behind a candle. I too noticed that, and I wondered if that, I mean, you couldn't really see her throughout the
She was sort of distinctly
Could
absent,
that
wasn't she?
possibly have been, because she was there the whole time, could that have been planned?
I don't know. They will have meticulously planned who was
Every
where,
shot.
read the cameras, and I think they'll have also had a shot list of when they could and couldn't cut in close to people.
Yeah, because when it was emotional,
Yeah.
they pulled so
They
far.
will have had
Weren't as
respectful
incredible those
vision
shots
mixing.
over
That
Westminster
shot
Abbey,
at
the
the
cross.
top of the tower, yeah.
But then I loved the chapel at Windsor.
I love that. I love
Oh,
that
I thought
ceremony.
it was beautiful.
It was a beautiful
Mark and I
place.
want to go and see all these places.
We were saying we want to go to all of the.
And we might
all of-
vlog them, like Windsor and Abbey and all of that, for all those people that I know will be thinking as well. I would love to go in there and have a look.
And also some details about those pallbearers. The coffin, as someone rightly just said here, will have been lined with lead. That's for obvious reasons.
I know,
Don't need to be
chaos
gone in.
rules, we
Don't need to be
noticed
gone
that.
into. But in terms of if you're not being actually buried and the coffin is going to be sitting outside or in a monument or something like that. So it's a lead-lined coffin. So it would have been extra heavy. I mean, I know there's lots of speculation as to was she in the coffin, was she not in the coffin. People have been
Really?
Oh yeah, there was a certain actor I think from something who said she's not even in there. So I mean. It's like Schrodinger's cat. Maybe she was, maybe she wasn't. But at the end of the day, the spirit of it all was, let's assume she was. But those pallbearers, you're right, some of them I think were brought directly from the theatre of war, weren't they? They were on a tour of duty and they were brought over specifically.
I suppose they all have to be
do it.
exactly the same height, and obviously very strong.
But I tell you what was remarkable. Did anyone else notice from the point that they had it at waist level to getting it up onto their shoulders was so smooth? It was like some kind of automated machine. It was a remarkable thing to watch. But like anyone else, as they went up the steps to the final chapel...
Oh, we were like, what's going to happen? Was anyone else like that? It was like, because it was going to have to slip back and then see that the last guy at the back holding it.
Yeah. But but there were so many moments where I was reminded. There's a photo of me standing in the Mall in 1977. Would that have been the Silver Jubilee? And I still can't get my head round the bearskins. The bearskins is such a sort of, I don't know, it sort of makes me think of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and all sorts of weird films where you get soldiers or the Nutcracker and things like that. It's really strange.
Oh, 250 kilograms, they said the coffin was.
Wow. Laura S., please go to Hampton Court and vlog. I love Hampton Court.
Yeah, MeTube there saying she wants to visit everyone.
Yeah. No, absolutely. We should do a little tour of duty.
Dear, look, my heart was in my mouth.
Clear off
Stairs,
three.
we were the same as they went up the stairs. Mark was like, oh my God, it's going to go.
Yeah.
Can you imagine after everything went so immaculately? how
Lucy Heaney,
mortified.
apparently Donald Trump is enjoying the fact that Biden was in row 14.
Oh, he's not. Oh, how tacky.
Oh, they've given him a
he's
slightly
so
better
tacky.
seat. The European royals had better seats. He's laughing about that. Delwyn Jenkins, Meghan was seen many times during the... What happened to Beatrice? Is it Beatrice and Eugenie? What happened to them? They seemed to sort of be there and then... Wasn't it? They
I
disappeared.
worked out what it was because I went looking for it because I thought Eugenie isn't there. She had a very low black hat. So you couldn't see her, but she was there the whole time with Beatrice.
Yeah. Melanie Williams, people seem to forget Harry was never really keen on his role in royalty, and who could blame him? He was always the spare. According to the public, he never makes decisions of his own volition. I mean, he's a man in control of his own destiny too. Robbie, removing a bust of Winston Churchill from the Oval Office at the start of Biden's presidency wasn't a great or brilliant idea. Yeah, I mean, there's no love lost between Biden and the Conservative government. I mean, he's very
He was supposed to meet Liz Truss and he didn't even
the
meet
Northern
her.
Irish
Bad.
issue is
Bad.
Is
and
an
Liz
issue.
Truss has said today that she doesn't expect to do any deals with America for years.
2 years. 2 years, quite something.
We kind of need that, don't we? Now we don't really have anything else to Brexit.
I was surprised. Have a guess as to how many people actually saw the Queen lying in state? I don't know why. I was surprised by that. And if you haven't seen the No Name Sunday show this weekend, Lisa gives a beautiful description. I mean, a really beautiful, evocative and immersive description of what it was like queuing, going through, seeing and coming out. Really nice.
And also my dad told a hilarious story on the No Name Sunday show, and suffice to say Teddy has now been renamed Susie.
Oh yes. Susie Speaks, I think.
So if you missed the No Name Sunday show, check it out to find out why.
Yeah, and Saab Turbo and Lisa Robson, you're right, 250,000. I don't know why. I thought it would have been more. 250,000, 250,000. And I am of that group now that wishes that we had. And there we go. 400,000, a lot of you saying, or 1 million, Sarah Fox. Yeah. No, 250,000. Which a very special experience for so many of them. And there was that last lady, wasn't there, we saw on television going, oh, that must have been strange, being the last one going through. Last person, civilian, if you like, to see the Queen. I just quickly, before we get on to Justin Trudeau and Bohemian Rhapsody, I just want to ask a quick question. Liz Truss has has committed another $2.5 billion to Ukraine. How do you feel about that at this point in time?
2.5 billion.
2.5 billion is, just thinking, cost of living crisis, the gas thingy,
But
it's
but
not
the
to
other-
suggest
and
that
also,
we shouldn't support them, but do you
that
think
she's made it known that she is going to try and get other world leaders to match. So she's very vocal already in the face of Putin, saying we are right up front, and we are not only that, we're going to get other countries to come and, you know, side with us against Russia. How do you feel about that? Do you think she's right?
Stuart G feels it's too much. We need it here. I mean, obviously, you can't just turn your back, and obviously what Russia's done is wrong, and you can't turn your back on
The
it,
argument is if
etc.
we don't stop them now, and China's watching to see how we behave.
But I suppose for me, it's about moderation. It's about diplomatically sharing the burden a little bit more, and not being sort of right out front screaming, "We're your strongest
Like
sort
we
of
are a
opponent."
superpower.
We're not a superpower.
We're not. We're a tiny little country.
Yeah, wearing bearskin hats.
Where Russia already hates us, Putin already hates us, and has said we would be first. Why shout and show off?
The loudest.
Why not be part of the United Nations, quietly working together? Why do we have to be screaming it? That's what I feel.
Me too.
I feel she puts us in danger.
Me too. I felt exactly the same as you, Michu. I said over the summer that attitudes in the UK will change once the energy price cap bites this winter. Understandably. I mean, it's going to become quite a hard sell to the British public, isn't it, that we keep supporting a completely obscure sort of war, in a sense, which has become... I mean, there's
What do you
another...
say, Mark, to those that say it's not obscure, it's Europe, and if he wins there, he will come for the rest of Europe. That's basically how they're...
Well, apparently, I saw statistics that said something like the war has cost him, say, something like 36 billion or something.
Putin.
Yeah,
But
and
he's made more.
He's made 64 billion off the rise in energy prices.
He's making
So it's a money-making
out
venture,
of this war
this
because
conflict.
of the way the West has handled it.
And because of our energy dependency. I mean, I think personally, I think you just go a bit more diplomatic. You equalise the objection and the opposition. You pool your financial resources with the West. You make a commitment to Ukraine financially as a group, not as a nation.
Sounds much more safe.
I think you then go into a war effort to maximise your own energy generation. You do it because you can't get it done any quicker than 10 years. You go into that mode. You try and almost hold the conflict in Ukraine at where it is, but you don't go on about it in public. That's my...
Can we have Mark for Prime Minister?
Well, no, but
what
that's... I just think that, you know...
That sounds bloody very sensible. Why is she showing off? When I said right from the beginning, didn't I? I was really worried about her because she's always putting her foot in it. And she's showing
And
off.
also the other byproduct of literally going on into energy sort of diversification on a war footing is that it becomes a little bit like was it Roosevelt in America, the 5-year plan? You go for infrastructure, you build so much, and you increase the economy, and you employ loads of people. I mean, it becomes a self-fulfilling, profit-making venture as well for the country. So you not only are then becoming less reliant, and you can just minimise your voice. I think it's about reducing the volume of our voice up and above others when we are no longer the nation, you know, the Tories like to think we are. I just think it's about being realistic.
says Liz Truss should ask Google, Alexa and Siri for advice before she says anything.
Yes.
She's a worry.
Okay, well, let's get on to the story that really matters. Justin Trudeau, Nadia likes this. Justin Trudeau defends singing Bohemian Rhapsody in a piano bar the day before the Queen's funeral.
Well,
but was it the day?
They say the night before, but other reports are saying it's 2 days before. Okay, this is what I think. He was there 2 hours singing with other people at the piano bar. Now, I love Justin Trudeau for this. He's my Disney prince anyway. But I do think as what's it called when you're coming for your country? What's it called? As a representative at his country, it's such a serious occasion. I think he should stay in his hotel room. But if you are not a public figure, I think however you behave, and this is what we were talking when you weren't here for a live I did the other day, any behaviour that anyone shows around a funeral is okay by me, because I think people, you know, deal with grief in very different ways.
It was
like that
2 days before the Queen's funeral.
I just think because he's the Prime Minister, is it Prime Minister or President?
Yeah, Prime Minister.
Because he's the Prime Minister, I think he's I think people are going to have a pop. If it was any other situation, if it wasn't for the Queen's funeral, I'd say, oh, that's great, he's getting on down with the Brits. But I think it was it's a little bit misguided. What do you think?
Yes.
You have to watch him, he's there, the video footage of it. Would you Scaramouche, Scaramouche, Scaramouche?
I think Justin Trudeau clearly likes a good time.
I know, I love
He clearly likes a good time. MT, nobody interested, who cares?
The Canadians.
A lot
of the Canadians are very angry.
You know what?
And there's a lot of people here as well saying he was disrespectful.
I mean, I think as a state leader, maybe. I mean, he's really getting down to it, isn't he? I mean, I don't know. It doesn't feel right, but I can't work out necessarily if it isn't right. You can't stop life. I mean, I suppose there was a moment when we were in Hyde Park yesterday, and I thought we laughed about something, and there's a part of you that thinks, well, am I supposed to laugh at such a somber, solemn? So I saw Prince Charles laugh in an exchange with someone. I thought, no, this is all right. I suppose there's a difference between
I hate
moments of brevity.
Grief.
Yeah, I agree.
But I think because he's a state leader, he was very ill-advised to be in a piano bar singing for 2 hours. When the whole world is watching, and a lot of the Canadians are saying they're so embarrassed. Is anyone from Canada watching here? How do you feel about it?
I mean, it does seem ironic that he was singing Queen
for a Queen.
Queen for a Queen, in a sense. Do you know
It's
what I mean?
definitely going to follow him, that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not. I mean, he's obviously been found naughty. He's done naughty things in the past, hasn't he? I don't know whether his social barometer is quite spot on, because
he wasn't reading the room, really.
No, but he didn't read the room. He did. Wasn't there a race issue where he did blackface, didn't he? And he was completely. I mean, he doesn't read. Maybe he just doesn't read the room.
I think that was years before, though.
Yeah, it was. I think he was much younger. Much younger. Well, there we go. And,
yeah, I do feel sorry for him, because I wonder if he was a little bit pissed as well now, and he's got major cringe.
International cringe.
I
mean, I wonder whether the story was going. I wonder whether when he walked into the church, people were like, "You shouldn't have been singing Bohemian Rhapsody."
I know there's quite a few people saying it doesn't really matter. Can we do a poll?
That's a song, isn't it, by Queen? It doesn't really matter.
I really want to see what the majority is of you guys. What you think?
Does it matter?
Because I thought, I'm going to guess that more of you thought it was
sang Queen before funeral.
What was singing the piano for?
Yeah.
That's the one question.
No, I know, but it's so long. I thought, does it matter to Trudeau? Everyone knows what the question is because we're talking about it. Did you watch Married at First Sight? We did watch Married at First Sight last night. It didn't feel right in a sense.
To review it last night because of the funeral, but we will today.
We'll be doubling down on it tonight.
We'll be doubling down because I loved it. Because of course I missed the one with the new couple.
Oh Christ! Yeah. Wow. Yeah. The woman, the tattooed lady.
Oh my
yeah.
God.
And what about Cassia? As things have moved a little bit, we'll be talking about it later.
Maybe we should do a review that we can post up.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
And then do the live one.
Yeah. The French president was savvy straight to his chair. House of Dragon was great. We're going to be doing a review of episodes 4 and 5. House of the Dragon.
I wanted to watch. Oh look, hang on. Oh.
Does it matter? No, 81%.
Oh!
Yeah, the vast majority thinks it doesn't matter.
I don't think it matters at all, but I just think as a state leader, he should have maybe stayed in his room.
Yeah.
But
Final question as we sign off. How many ants are there on the planet? A study has just been conducted to find out how many ants there are on the planet. And it's a staggering number.
Oh my God, I can't even think. Is it 100 billion?
No. Can anyone guess how many ants there are in the world? 22 trillion. That's a good guess, Southern Belle.
I don't know if
10
22
billion,
trillion is
Melanie
more than
Williams.
100 billion.
Karen Busby, too many.
Is 22 trillion more than 100 billion?
Sorry, say that again. Yes, 22 billions are more than... Yeah, billions of trillions, says Elaine Denning. 45 gazillion. A trillion is more than a billion.
Yeah.
And I think
how many more is it? A billion?
And then I think a quadrillion is bigger than a billion. Would you want to know?
Are you trying to pull me?
It's 20. It's 20 quadrillion ants on the planet, which is the equivalent to 20,000 trillion.
But how many billions are in a trillion?
I don't know.
So you don't know anything?
No.
If you don't know how many billions there are in a trillion, you don't know how many ants there are.
1,000 million? Is it 1,000 millions in a billion?
MeTube will know.
I think it's 1,000, is it?
Oh, there we go.
1,000 MeTube, thank you. Yeah. We're on the same page. Guys, have a lovely day.
Was it somebody's birthday I saw going up earlier? Was it Jessica?
Did we see a
I saw
birthday?
somebody.
45 gazillion is a great number, isn't it? It would be great.
Is gazillion an actual number?
No.
But gazillion.
No. Quadrillion. Who counted them, says Hilary Day. Very good question, very good question. Making my head hurt. What was that? Someone said about the uncles with them too. Guys,
So don't forget, we will be doing a live review tonight of Married First Sight UK. If you have nothing to do today and you've missed Married First Sight UK, just hold up and watch the whole goddamn series, because if you're fascinated in people and their relationships, this series has been incredible. I can't wait to have a gossip with you later about, what's her name?
I can't remember, but the fish lady. The fish lady?